My name is Emma, and I thought I knew the old man who lived next door. Everyone said he was cold, unfriendly, and strange. For months I believed them. But one rainy afternoon, I learned a secret that changed my heart forever. When I moved to Maple Street, I was excited to begin a new chapter of my life. The neighborhood looked peaceful and full of charm, the kind of place where people still knew each other's names and waved from their front porches. Tall maple trees lined the road, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. In spring, bright flowers bloomed in front yards, and in summer, children rode their bikes up and down the sidewalk, laughing as they passed one another. The houses were neat and welcoming, with painted fences, hanging baskets, and little garden paths leading to front doors. My new neighbors were kind from the very beginning. They smiled when they saw me, introduced themselves warmly, and even brought me homemade cookies, fresh bread, and jars of jam. Their kindness made me feel at home almost immediately. But there was one house that seemed different from all the others. It was the small white house next door, with peeling paint on the shutters and a garden that was always perfectly trimmed. That house belonged to Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas was about 70 years old, with silver hair, a bent back, and deep lines on his face that made him look as though he had spent many years carrying heavy burdens. Every morning, he stepped outside at the same time, wearing the same dark coat, and slowly watered the flowers in his garden. Every evening, he sat alone on his old wooden porch and watched the sun disappear behind the trees. He never waved at anyone. He never smiled. If someone greeted him, he only gave a small nod and continued on his way. He always seemed serious, almost distant, as if he were wrapped in a world no one else could enter. He never came to block parties, never joined conversations, and never stayed outside long enough for anyone to get close to him. To everyone around him, it seemed as though he preferred silence to company. The children on our street were especially afraid of him. They whispered about him whenever they thought no adults were listening, leaning close together as if even saying his name too loudly might bring bad luck. They called him the quiet old man, and scattered the moment they saw him walking down the sidewalk, clutching their backpacks and pretending they had somewhere else to be. Some of them said he had a terrible temper, and would shout if anyone stepped too close to his yard. Others claimed he was hiding something awful inside his house, something locked away behind those closed curtains and carefully shut doors. The adults were no better. At neighborhood gatherings, people spoke about him in low voices, glancing toward his house before they dared to continue, as if he might somehow hear them from next door. Some said he was rude because he never talked. Others believed he had suffered a great loss and never recovered. A few even invented wild stories about him, saying he had once been rich, famous, or dangerous, and that he had come to Maple Street to disappear from the world. But no one truly knew the truth. They only repeated rumors until those rumors began to sound like facts. After hearing all of this again and again, I started to believe it too. I told myself that Mr. Thomas simply did not like people. For nearly 6 months, we lived beside each other without sharing a single real conversation. Sometimes I saw him kneeling in his garden, carefully pulling weeds from between the flowers. Sometimes I noticed him carrying groceries into his house, moving slowly as if every step took effort. Once I saw him standing by his mailbox in the rain, holding a letter in his hand for a long time before going inside. I often wondered what his life had been like before he came to Maple Street. Did he have a family? Had he always lived alone? Was he lonely, or did he choose to be by himself? Many times I thought about asking him, but I never did. I was shy, and I also believed what everyone else believed, that he wanted to be left alone. So I kept my distance just like the rest of the neighborhood. And I let silence grow between us. Then one rainy afternoon everything changed. I was standing by my kitchen window, watching the rain fall in heavy silver sheets, when I heard a loud crash from next door. At first I thought it was thunder, but then I heard another sound, papers fluttering, a door creaking open, and a low groan of pain. Without thinking, I grabbed my umbrella and ran outside. The wind was strong, and the rain soaked my shoes before I even reached Mr. Thomas's porch. There on the wet wooden steps, I found him bent over a fallen box, trying to gather up dozens of scattered letters before they blew away. "Let me help you," I said, kneeling beside him. He looked up at me, surprised, and for the first time I saw something in his face that I had never noticed before. It was not anger. It was sadness. Deep, tired sadness. Together we picked up the letters one by one and placed them back into the box. As I tied the ribbon around the stack, I noticed that every envelope was addressed to the same name, Lily Thomas. "Who is Lily?" I asked softly. Mr. Thomas was quiet for a long moment. The rain tapped against the porch roof, and the world around us seemed to hold its breath. Finally he said, "My daughter." He invited me inside to get out of the rain, and I followed him into the house, expecting it to feel cold and empty. Instead, it felt warm and gentle. The air smelled like tea and lavender. On the walls were photographs of a smiling woman, a little girl with pigtails, and a younger Mr. Thomas standing beside them with his arm around their shoulders. There were knitted blankets folded neatly on the couch, books stacked by the chair, and a vase of fresh flowers on the table by the window. Mr. Thomas sat down slowly and told me his story. Years ago, his wife had died, and after that, he and Lily had argued badly. He had said cruel things in his grief, and Lily had left. He had tried to apologize, but pride and fear kept him from reaching out the way he should have. So he wrote letters instead. Letters full of apologies, memories, and hope. But he never sent them because he was afraid she would not forgive him. Every evening on the porch, he was not ignoring the world. He was waiting for a chance to make things right. He had seemed distant because his heart had been broken for a very long time. Then he showed me something else. In a small basket by the door were umbrellas, canned soup, and warm blankets. He had been leaving them on neighbors' porches during storms. He had fixed broken fences, mended bike tires, and even shoveled snow from the sidewalks before sunrise so no one would know it was him. The flowers in his garden had been planted for Lily, because they were her favorite. All this time, the man everyone called strange had been quietly caring for the whole street. I felt my eyes fill with tears. I had judged him without ever giving him a chance. The next morning, I helped him sort the letters and mail the newest one. A week later, Lily called. She had received the letter, and she wanted to come see him. When she arrived, she brought her little daughter with her. The moment Mr. Thomas opened the door and saw them standing there, his face changed completely. He cried, Lily cried, and then they held each other for a long time. It was the first time I had ever seen him smile, and that smile made him look younger, lighter, and full of peace. After that day, everything on Maple Street began to change. The children no longer ran away from Mr. Thomas. Instead, they waved to him and sometimes stopped to admire his flowers. The adults who once whispered about him now greeted him kindly and asked him to join them for coffee or dinner. Mr. Thomas started spending more time outside, and sometimes he even laughed with the neighbors. His porch, once quiet and lonely, became a place where people paused to talk and share stories. I learned that people are often carrying pain we cannot see, and that kindness can be hidden behind the quietest faces. From that rainy afternoon on, I never looked at Mr. Thomas or anyone else the same way again. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more simple English stories every day. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.